let's talk about Antarctica. It's melting, and it's happening a lot faster than we thought. But what if the consequences aren't just catastrophic? What if they're also a revelation? We're going to dive into two totally different ways of looking at this whole thing, one based in science, and the other, well, the other is based in prophecy.
I mean, listen to that. Something that was never meant to return. That's the kind of thing that sets the stage for a real high-stakes mystery, right? It suggests this isn't just about rising water levels. It's about something ancient, something powerful waking up. So, let's explore what that could possibly mean.
Okay, so to really get what's at stake here, we first need to understand the sheer scale of Antarctica. We're not just talking about a giant ice cube. This place is basically a vital organ for the entire planet.
Check out this number, 14 million square kilometers. It's kind of hard to picture, right? Well, to put it in perspective for you, that's about 1.5 times the size of the entire United States. We are talking about a vast frozen continent that just dominates the bottom of our planet.
And this is just staggering. Antarctica holds 90% of the world's ice and 60% of all its fresh water. It's not just a big freezer, it's literally the planet's main water tower. And it's melting.
All that bright white ice also acts as the planet's air conditioner. It's a process called the albedo effect. Basically, the ice is like a giant mirror, bouncing sunlight and heat right back into space, keeping us cool. But if that mirror disappears, well, our planet starts absorbing more heat, and that just speeds up the warming in a really dangerous feedback loop.
So what happens if this planetary regulator, this giant AC unit, starts to fail? According to the science, the consequences would set off a catastrophic chain reaction across the entire globe. And we're talking about way more than just rising sea levels. When you dump that much fresh water into the ocean, you disrupt the vital currents that regulate our climate. You could see Europe get plunged into a deep freeze, while other places suffer from unbearable heat waves. And on top of the chaotic weather, you get nations scrambling for resources, you get the loss of coastal cities, entire histories just washed away forever.
10 feet. Just let that sink in. That is the terrifying amount the sea level could rise if the Thwaites Glacier, they call it the Doomsday Glacier for a reason, were to collapse. A number like that would literally redraw the maps of our world.
And the threat isn't just from the water itself, it's from what's locked inside it. For millions of years, ancient viruses and bacteria have been frozen in that ice. As it melts, they could be released into a world where none of us have any immunity. Now, I know it sounds like something straight out of a sci-fi movie, but this is a very real biological threat that our bodies are completely unprepared for.
But what if all this catastrophe is also a catalyst? What if the melting ice isn't just an ending, but a prophesied beginning? This is where our story takes a really fascinating turn, into the realm of the metaphysical. And that brings us to something called the prophecy of the unveiling. In this story, the melting of Antarctica isn't a disaster at all. It's seen as a long-awaited moment of revelation, a time when a hidden reality is finally revealed to us all. So, the key idea here is the dual nature of the so-called ice walls. In this narrative, they are, yes, the literal polar ice caps we see on a map, but they are also a symbolic, metaphysical veil, a kind of energetic barrier of illusion that has kept all of humanity trapped in a limited reality. And this quote from the source material really puts it perfectly. The flood isn't just about destruction, it's about revelation. It's seen as this purifying force that washes away the illusion and reveals a hidden truth, this higher earth. The prophecy actually lays out a 3-step process for this whole unveiling. First, the meltwater itself is supposed to awaken dormant human potential, something in our DNA. Second, gateways to other dimensions open. And finally, it's all supposed to culminate on a specific day of reckoning for humanity, June 6, 2026.
This planetary judgment is described as a sort of cosmic test for humanity. Our collective stewardship of the planet gets assessed. And if we pass, the prophecy says we'll be granted access to a true Earth, a higher state of existence.
So, where does all this leave us? We've just explored two completely different paths that both spring from the exact same event. The ice in Antarctica is melting.
So on one hand, you have a narrative of physical catastrophe, backed by science, and on the other, a narrative of metaphysical revelation, based on prophecy. Two stories, one single event.
Which brings us to this profound, final question. Is the ice melting to drown our world, or is it melting to reveal a new one? And, maybe the answer isn't about choosing one story over the other. Maybe it's about understanding that both could be true at the very same time.